I have two questions in here. I think they are related, but anyway, let me read out the question. Venerable, please tell us more about your talk in Vernon. And the next question is, we heard from other Sangha members that your Dharma talk in Vernon is very successful. Well, how do you know? Many people can get benefit from your talk. Would you kindly share more with us about this trip? Yeah, maybe we can talk about this trip. I just came back 2-3 days ago. I spent about 3 days in Vernon and gave a talk to people in Vernon, and I found that well, whether they're successful or not depends on how you measure it, but the way I look at it, I feel happy about it because there's so many people attending. I have been traveling before to Vernon many years ago, 18 years ago, 16 years ago, and it has changed so much, and especially when we drive from Kelowna to Vernon, that portion of the landscape is really wonderful. Have you ever been to Vernon, Kelowna? If you've been, to raise your hands. So there's so many people who've been to Vernon. And when you are driving on a highway, you just see all this landscape, miles and miles of valleys and mountains. All of a sudden, you realize the vastness of Canada. Because if you're living in Richmond, you don't see the vastness of Canada. It's the second largest in the world. The largest in terms of area is Russia, I think. Canada is larger than China. It's the second largest in terms of area of the whole world. And traveling from Kelowna to Vernon, you can see all these mountains and all that. And we were climbing, actually not climbing, we were in a car, of course, on the highway. The highway were going on the top of the hill, on top of the mountain. So sometimes you were traveling 2,300 feet, 3,500 feet on top of the mountain, and then where the temperature is only about 11 or 12 or even 10. And then the next 2 minutes you could be descending to about 1,000 feet, and that may be about 18 and 17 degrees. So it's really wonderful. I had altogether 3 talks in Vernon. I was invited to Vernon. I didn't know anybody in Vernon. I was invited by a group of people who had concern about teenagers committing suicide because of depression. And from statistics that I was given, 1 out of 11 students had depression in Canada. And according to USA statistics, 2 years ago, 2018 or now 2017, I don't know, approximately about 49,000 people committed suicide. And 80% of these people were due some sort to some mental disorder. Depression is the major one. So many people committed suicide because of mental disorder. And of course, mental disorder does not mean just depression. It could mean addiction to alcoholism. It could mean addiction to drugs too. And in Asia, the only statistics I could get is from Hong Kong. They did a study in Hong Kong 4 years ago. 40%, that's how they postulate from their statistics of the survey. 40% of all the students in Hong Kong suffer from depression. And in that particular year, 22 students in Hong Kong committed suicide. 22 students in 1 year. And out of the 22, 8 were at universities. They were found dead at university dormitories. So it becomes very serious. And so people in Vernon, they have a family there whose daughter committed suicide because of depression. A very lively, lovable kid, 18 years old, a girl, represented internationally, volleyball team in a national level at least, very athletic, and committed suicide. And the family was so grief-stricken that the man got into YouTube and tried to find, soothing talks about Dharma talk, and he clicked into my talk on YouTube. I gave a talk in Hong Kong many years ago, 3-4 years ago, about how to overcome emotional challenges, and he found my talk to be very valuable. He liked my talk, and he particularly traveled a few times from Vernon to here to request me to go to Vernon to give talk. And I'm a monk, and I always have the mission that if anybody will invite me to a talk, I try in every way to fulfill whoever comes to me, because I'm just conveying the Buddha's Dharma. So I promise, and they make preparation for 2-3 months, and I just came back 4 days ago from Vernon. And they organized in a hall, Schubert Hall, where they have a group of about 400, an audience of about 400 people. So I had to talk at one evening to 400 people in the hall, and then 2 classes to 2 schools, Sit-in school and Fulton school. So when I first went over there, so I gave a talk in the morning to a group of approximately about 100 students. I think these students were grade 9, grade 10, 8, 9, 10, not grade 12 and 11, about from grade 8 to grade 10. We were in a cozy room, very close to each other, personal contact, personal interaction, and all these kids were sitting on the floor, and I was sitting not too high, on the chair, and they were sitting on the floor, and there were also about 10 teachers participating, including the principal of the school, a very famous school in Vernon. And I talked approximately about 1 hour, and I was able to interact with them very well. And according to my interaction, it's been very favorable. They all like it. They ask questions. Some people say, oh, these are stupid questions. I said, I don't mind stupid questions. I like stupid questions. Sometimes stupid questions can turn out to be the most intelligent questions, because they are questions from the naiveness of the mind of a teenager. And a teenager has the promptness just to ask anything they want, and sometimes they're not covered by hypocrisy of any kind, so they just air out their question. I like those questions. I was able to crack a few jokes, and they all loved it. They were laughing, and the interaction was good. And later we discovered that there was one boy on this side who dressed in a sports, very casual, and doesn't seem to be too respectful when he was just sitting in there and asking questions. But we later found out that in the evening, we talked in the morning, in the evening we found him. He was dressed very casually when he was listening to me, but in the evening he was lining up for a ticket. He had $20 in his hands, and he deliberately, after dinner or before dinner, came to line up for tickets that's already been sold. And what did he dress? He dressed in nice, neat clothes. Very, very nice shorts, very nicely trimmed, hair. But I was surprised. He seemed to be so naive in the morning, and all of a sudden it became so serious in the evening. And he said, I want to come to listen. I find it useful. I don't know. We were impressed by him because we recognized him because he was asking questions. So in the morning I gave a casual talk for about an hour, and I can see the response. They like it very much. And the principal like it, the teachers like it. So then in the evening, I gave a talk to an audience of 400 people. And I thought they were students in a group, but actually they were 95% parents, adults. They were all adults. So I started to give the lecture with 2 slide, what do you call that? Not monitor, screens. 2 screens, one on each side. And I was very close to them, about as close as this. And I talk with all these 8 of PowerPoints. And I went over for an hour. And it was so hot that the air conditioner was not working well. Nobody left. After 2 hours of talk, everybody stayed behind. I said, well, can we go over? Nobody left. Everybody listened, and they all respond quite well. And they were copying down, copy every note on the PowerPoint. I said, I don't mind you take a snapshot of all these. I don't have copyright. Why do you have to copy? Oh, they feel very happy and they take snapshots, and they were very happy. What I did is my lecture is in 2 aspects. One aspect is how to understand the nature of depression, how to understand the characteristics and nature of depression, which is on the theory side, and the second half of it, how to overcome depression. That's on the practice side. So not only do I give them the concepts, how to understand it, but also the methods to overcome it. And they find it to be so receptive because I didn't just do empty talk about it. So I break it down in 2 parts. The first part is theory, where do emotions come from, and how do we react, and what is our mental experiences when we're thinking, and how many emotions are there, and what is this emotion actually comprised of, and where do they come from. And I even talk about reincarnation, because part of this negative emotions could come from previous lives, not just these lives. And this is something they never thought of, that the time dimension could not just be this life, could be related to previous life. And they're all very interested in something that they haven't heard before. And that's on the understanding part, telling them that how do you approach the understanding of what is emotions. Because you can never solve the problems without understanding the problems. I said that is just like a Harvard business case when you're studying business in Harvard School, which the Buddha mentioned the Four Noble Truths, which is exactly the Harvard case studies of how to deal with problems. For the Four Noble Truths, what are the Four Noble Truths? The Four Noble Truths is deal with problems of life and death, the problems, human problems. The first one is suffering. We all suffer, the problems, the suffering, causes of the suffering, how to find out method to end suffering, and when the suffering is ended, then you are going through enlightenment. So it's problem solving, finding methods to solve it, and when the problem is solved, you're right on your way out of the problem. So they all like it because it's scientific. And I also, am I boring you? No? Are you sure? Yes. Oh, because I'm going through something that I've gone before. So what I actually do is I went over all these, and then I also try to relate the Buddhist teaching into something like an everyday jargon, everyday language. I said, what is meditation? Meditation relates to the mental state, which is consciousness. So meditation is a consciousness therapy. They all know what therapy is. They say, oh, it's a therapy. I thought meditation is for the Buddhists, for the Buddha. But I said, no, meditation is for everybody. Not just for the Buddhists, it could be Catholic, Roman Catholic, Christian, Hindu, you name them. It's nothing but consciousness therapy. And then, of course, I say, okay, after consciousness therapy, you also have a chanting in Buddhism. And everybody say, oh, a chanting is Buddhist. Because when you chant a sutra, you chant a mantra, you're always repeating and repeating. It's very mystical. I saw it on YouTube. It's very religious. I said, no. It's not just religious. A chanting is a kind of sound therapy. And what is more important is a self-generating consciousness sound therapy. Are you not interested in your own sound, a sound that has a healing effect? So I give all these modern terms to mix with the Buddha's teaching, and they all like it very much. And I actually went through a chanting session with them for 5 minutes, and a meditation session with them for 5 minutes. Meditation on the anapanasati, the breath in and breath out. So they have experienced something they have never experienced before, and they all find it very interesting. And I heard a lot of comments, you know, when they were going out, and I heard, he talks like us. Of course, I said, I've been here for 30 years. I talk like you. And they like to hear someone who can talk like them, you know, of course. They expect a Chinese monk to talk like you have very strong accent. Like a monk who came out from a mountain, from a cave as a hermit. That's not me. I said, well, I'm a monk, but I talk like them, so they like it. And it turns to be a full house. It's a full house. Everybody was there. Nobody wanted to leave. I went over 1 hour, and they still liked very much. So that's the session. And right now, we're all giving free meditation in here. But they charge for $20 per ticket, you know. You got to pay $20 for it. At first, I thought, why do you charge $20? And the organizers said, if you give it out free, it's not valuable. If you give out free tickets, one person could get 10 tickets, and they just shelve it. They never come. So if they pay for it, they will come. But we cannot charge that much. We cannot charge $100, so we charge $20. So we charge $20 per ticket. They buy tickets to get in. So you guys must be happy. You don't have to buy tickets. Even the lunch is free. It's a free lunch. It's a free lunch. But actually, this lunch is free. It's donated by someone. It's donated by someone here too. I mean, there are people who donated this lunch. Don't just accept everything for granted. It's always more blissful to give than to accept. Don't take it for granted. Don't take it. I think I also touched on a subject during my talk on about appreciation of your senses, because we have eyes, ears, nose, body, and everything seems to be healthy, and everything seems to be working in our senses. We take them for granted. There are people who don't have eyes, who are blind, who couldn't speak, they couldn't listen to any sound, but they're struggling. They're struggling to live happily. But how come we have all the senses and we want to commit suicide? With human values. And I also mentioned to them the very important human values that the Buddha has been promoting in simple terms. Everybody wants to be a good. Goodness is a human value. How to be good? What is goodness? We have standards, of course. And how to live happily. Being happy is a human value. How to be wise is a human value. We have these values. How can we take away our lives? What's the most important value of a human is we recognize our existence, the value of our existence. An animal like a dog would only just live 1 day. When they're hungry, they just eat food. And when the masters come back home, they just wag their tails. And they don't think about, why do I exist? Where do I come from? What are my values? What should I do to raise my values? Because teenagers, they don't recognize their own values. That's the reason why they commit suicide when they have depression. They don't know they have values inside of them. So I also raised to them the values concept. And then, of course, after that evening, the next day, before I came back, I also went to another school. And I find that I didn't talk too well in that school. And now I know the reasons. I learned my lesson from it. When I got into they gave me a gym. And they have what they call automatic bleachers, which means that the whole chairs can come out and then it can roll back up to the wall. So they have a high ceiling. And when I went into there, it was so roomy, like it's like I can hear echoes. So and then they push the button and all these chairs come out, and they only come out 1/3. So I was standing in here, and they have chairs of about 100, and students came in, about 60 students. They all took their seats, and the way they took their seats is, teenagers, they don't want to take the middle. They took their seats on that side, and on that side. So I was looking at an island. I was like, there's an island there, and that island is a vaulted island with no trees in the middle, but with trees on both sides, and the middle is all empty chairs. So the distance is even more. So when I was talking in here, I have a whole stretch of ocean water in the middle, and there's an island over there. I'm addressing to islanders, and it's so far away. I don't feel intimate. I don't feel there's a relationship. Plus, they were talking. I couldn't hear them. They were asking questions. I couldn't hear them. So I was standing in there, and I started to give my talk. And immediately, 5 minutes later, I know that I shouldn't be standing in here because I don't feel the energy. I don't feel that I'm interacting with them. And I also find out that they were talking to each other. And some of the students put their legs on the chairs and were reclining back. And even the teacher was, I think it's I don't know, athlete teachers, and not very respectful. It seems that they're being forced into the room to listen to me, because that room, that school was that girl who committed suicide was from that school. That's the reason why the parents want me to go to that school to talk to the teenagers. So I couldn't gather my energy together, and I didn't talk well because I couldn't communicate. So after half an hour, I said, any question? No question? Okay, I'll break for the day. Thank you. Bye-bye. Then I'm gone. And then a hand raised up and asked questions. I had to go back to answer questions. I don't feel like it, and they don't feel like it. Next time I know. When I talk, I have to be close to the audience. They cannot. I do not want to have a stretch of water in between. I want communication. So next time, when I talk, I want to make sure. Actually, if I had to do it all over again, you know what I would do? I would talk to the principal and say, I'm not going to talk in this room. Can you give me a classroom? Then everybody would get out from that gym. It does not matter. I can't communicate that way. So everybody should go to a classroom in which I would sit down. I would have close contact with them. Then if they're not interested, that this is what I'm going to say. I came here on the request of a parent whose daughter passed away because of committing suicide. And she is your classmate. Emily wants to see me coming over to talk to you. She may want to convey her feelings through me to you. So do you care about Emily? You've been Emily's classmates, and you don't even care about what I was talking about? Let's respect Emily, who took her life. And we don't want to repeat the same lessons. We want everybody to benefit from the casualty that Emily committed. We want to learn the lessons. And if you're respectful, let us communicate. I think that would trigger something in their mind because they came for a reason. They were not forced to come by the principle. Do you think I should talk in that way? What do you think? Is it better to open the speech like that? Directly to say, that's the reason why I'm coming. I'm coming because parents of Emily, your classmate, who has been so athletic, who has been so sociable, and she take her life. And I don't want the same thing to happen in the school again. And I want that message to go through so that every student would benefit from it. This is what I'm going to do. So that's it. So what are the questions you would like to ask? So they wanted me to go back to Vernon sometime, maybe to teach meditation, but we don't have a premises in Vernon. How can I go there? We can rent a school hall or something like that, and that opportunity may come. And I find out that since I'm familiar with the language, I should go more out to outskirts to talk to different people, to the youngsters, on what they should know about the negative emotions, because that really affect them. And as I talked about this morning, some kids will bully, and sometimes it should just be a little bit of kids are being naughty and bully each other, but take it very seriously. I remember when I was a kid, I took bullying very seriously. It's just naughtiness, out of naughtiness that they hit each other. You've been a school teacher, you know sometimes these kids are behaving like that, but they don't mean it. But some really take it to their mind, and they hate it, and that breeds a lot of hatred in their mind. So I think everybody should. You raise your hand, yeah? Can you speak louder? Yeah?
At high schools, they have an auditorium.
Yeah.
And I think they put you to the gym because, they have all the students there. And
Could be.
The auditorium is a little bit smaller, does not hold so many people, maybe half of them.
Yeah.
But check with the school to see whether they have an auditorium or not, and use that.
Yeah, I think the auditorium can accommodate at least 600 people, whereas they only in that one they have a gym. They use that gym as auditorium too, and they sometimes just take away the dividers in the middle, and they extend all these automatic bridges. They can sit 1,000 people. Yeah, but they have to have a high ceiling. And you see, when I learned from this lesson that you have to radiate your energy when you're talking to them. You cannot feel disinterested. You're not interested, or you feel that you don't like this place. That's exactly what I feel. I don't like this place. If I don't like this place, how can I talk well? So I really have to know which location. But in my first talk to the grade 8 and 9, I was in a classroom. I didn't know where I was going anyway, but it was close. And I think that sometimes grade 12 students may have a strange feeling that they are adult enough. They are the last year at school, and they know a lot. They know a lot, much more than the ordinary students. So they have this sense of pride. What are you coming to tell us? I mean, who are you? That kind of, they always want to say, who are you? Here is a guy who's a monk who's coming to tell us. He looks strange. He's in different costumes. And what is he telling us? He doesn't even know what he was talking about. I don't understand. That's kind of opinion that is in their mind. And I think even the teacher is not too respectful. When I talk to them, they don't seem to be interested in me as the speaker. I should have learned the lesson. When I first met the teacher, when I met the first teacher, I still remember her name, Michelle, and she did a little bit of mindfulness meditation. She respected mindfulness meditation, so she was interested in talking to me. and she's more receptive. Whereas the second teacher, she seemed to be giving me a cold shoulder when I was being introduced to her. So immediately I know that I was not going to work out, because even the teacher is not respecting what this guy is going to say. All right, so. Any more questions? Yes?
Did you leave the temple website so they can,
Yeah, I talked to them, yes. And they're going to give me a video tape that they did. I think they got some professionals to do the videotape, and you can see the videotape later. It was really good. I think my performance was up to the standard I require on that night. I would give myself maybe a 90. And nothing got 100. I've never had a 90 before. That's almost a 90. And nothing is, nobody gets perfect. So if I get 90, that's already good. The reason why I give myself a 90 is nobody laughed. Even I went over for 1 hour. Nobody laughed. So, yeah, that's what it is.